Hi, everybody. This is Gary again. This is the kind of the opening for the chapter on culture, and so this is video one of the culture for chapter two, and so I tried to get a program. I tried to find a program where I could do record lecture and switch back and forth and show you the PowerPoints, because they do have some of those out there. But apparently, unless you want to spend hundreds of dollars, you all the ones that are free are crap, and I haven't been able to make them work. So we're going to do this from my home. This is my office, as I said in the opening video. But this is, so you have to deal with my background, my storage, and all this crap. So you can deal with that. I also will be drinking my Diet Pepsi. And another thing that I may be doing while we're talking is smoking, because I'm at home and I can. Screw you. Don't judge me. You don't know. That's the beauty of being able to be at home. So if you see me smoke and it harms your delicate sensibilities, get over it. Okay. So we're going to talk about, first of all, about culture. Now, with regard to culture, one of the things that's important to note is that culture is one of those things that everybody feels like they know what it is. You know, if you ask people, what is culture? Everybody will say, oh yeah, sure, I know what that is. And then if you ask them to define it, then they hem and haw a little bit. Then they're like, well, I'm not exactly sure. And if they do give you answers, usually the answers are something like, well, it has to do with, music and food and, types of rituals and things. And that's not entirely wrong. I mean, that's correct. It's more of an anthropological look at culture, and those things are all important and important aspects of culture. But what we do in sociology is a little bit different. What we're trying to do is we're trying to think of culture as a thing to study, and looking at some of the major kind of components of culture. So that's what we're going to do. So in this opening, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at culture. We're going to define it, and then I'm going to talk very quickly about kind of the two aspects of culture. And so, first of all, we define culture, according to our text, as the values, beliefs, behavior, and material objects that together form a people's way of life. So we have value systems, belief systems, how you're supposed to act, meaning the rules for everyday living, which we'll talk about later on. Again, we talked about that with the idea of symbolic interaction theory, and the material objects. And the way to think about culture is that it is one of the answers to the question, what is the glue that holds society together? What is it that makes us, makes society stick, allows us to live in large groups? And because we're really hunters and gatherers, right? We're foragers. That's how we've evolved. So how is modern society possible? How is it possible that we can live in such large groups? In America, we have like 320 or 325 million people. How is that even possible? Well, partially the answer to that is culture. We no longer have instinct. I know some of you are going, no, Gary, we do. No, we really don't. We have some things that people sometimes think are instinct, but instinct is based on the concept of what's called a priori knowledge. A priori is Latin, and what it basically refers to is knowledge that is independent of experience, right? This idea that we could know things without having experienced them, without having learned them, meaning that you're born knowing things. And we're not, right? We're not born knowing things. We don't know how to read or write or walk or feed ourselves. We have some like basic reactions. So if you have a newborn and you touch the side of their cheek, they'll turn like they're turning toward the nipple. It's a reaction, a reflex, but it's not instinct. We're not born with knowledge, so we don't have what we call a priori knowledge independent of experience. Instead, we have culture. We learn how to live with each other. We learn how to interact. We learn language. We learn symbols. So we'll be talking about some of these different aspects of this. In the next video, I'm going to discuss some basic terminology, meaning the idea of material and non-material culture. So I'm keeping these relatively short so that way they're easier for you to digest. So this is the end of the first one, and then I'll start the next one here in a moment. Thanks.